I know what you're thinking. I need a job.
I need a new career.
Well, I've been there.
I've been there.
I've been there. I wasn't happy with what I was doing.
After high school, I didn't have a plan.
I just wanted to start working.
I got laid off twice, but you gotta keep going.
You just need the right skills. Find an apprenticeship.
I found a 2-year IT program.
I found a medical course online.
I'm now a consultant in the tech space.
You have more options than you think. You can do this.
You will find something.
You will find something new.
Sorry about that. No, I've been staying at my dad's place because of everything.
Here you go. It's your favorite. It's chicken noodle.
He's good.
Oh, wait, Dad. Wait, hang on.
Yeah, I know. We keep missing each other. I've been working out of my dad's house. Doing some reading. I should be working out more. I know it's important to stay healthy. It's just, I don't have the time. I just feel like I'm drowning.
Your turn.
In tough times like this, we know it can be easy to neglect your own health and well-being.
Dad, it's the girls. Oh.
What kind of dance is that?
While you care for your loved one, you also need to care for yourself.
You look good.
Go to aarp.org/caregiving for free mental health and self-help tips.
What is it, Julia? Why are you so excited, honey? Oh, hey, do you want to use your talker? With Julia's autism, using a talker can help her find the words she wants to say.
My dog.
You want to do something with Rose, Julia?
Play ball.
Do you want to play catch with Rose? I think Rose is excited to play catch too. Oh, Julia, you show us so many different ways to talk together. Oh, and play. Good catch, Rose. Okay, give Julia the ball. There you go. Okay, throw the ball, Julia. Oh.
For Julia's family, early screening for autism made a lifetime of difference. Find out more at screenforautism.org.
Okay, Julia, there you go. Whoa, another good throw. That's the way.
If your diet is not rich in vitamin D, okay, you're going to be deficient. If you're staying indoors and, outside, not getting enough sun, remember, vitamin D is basically absorbed when the sun is at a particular angle with the earth. That's usually between March and October. One of the things that he did mention is that, the Dermatologic Society recognizes this and says you can actually get 15 minutes of direct sunlight on your skin before you apply sunblocks. Okay, so you can go outside, get some sun, and then apply your sunblocks, because the weather is changing. All right, and you need that. Vitamin D, he's demonstrated that by using doses of vitamin, even higher doses of vitamin D, he was actually able to, reduce morbidity and mortality in an intensive care setting, no matter what brought you into the hospital. They were utilizing vitamin D to assist with the healing process. We've been fighting with these viruses all, fall and winter. In some places, we haven't really had much of a winter, especially here in the Northeast. But, vitamin D can enhance the immune system by tenfold. Okay. I mean, you're talking about things, it's inexpensive. It's inexpensive. You can buy it right over the counter. All right. You take, 25 IUs or micromilligrams, whatever, however they call it. They come in 25s and 50s. You can take 1 or 2 a day, and the one thing is that I remember when I'm doing my training, we always focused on the toxicity, of different things. And one thing that I can tell you is that it's very hard to overdose on something like vitamin D. Your body's designed to put out anything that's excess, so to speak. But the benefits of it, man, unbelievable. So listen, if you haven't done it already, okay, if you're not doing it right now, please supplement your bodies with vitamin D. Remember, here we talk about prevention, we talk about health, okay? We talk about how do we stay away from the doctor, okay? All right. And remember, the biggest thing with this is always lifestyle modification. All right. What can I do, all right, to change my life to make it better? All right. And if I feel as though that I'm doing everything that I can, then what is it that I'm not doing? All right. And that's the one thing. You can always think about what you're doing every day, but what am I not doing every day? All right. Am I getting enough rest? All right. Am I eating right? All right. Am I going out and eating a lot of fast foods that come across the counters, eating out at night? Am I consuming a lot of alcohol? Am I smoking? All right. Not just cigarettes, but marijuana, cigars, you name it. Am I smoking? Okay. Am I basically destroying myself because I'm not, doing the right things? All right. And those are some of the things that we want to look at. Basically how, controlling ourselves, getting control of what we do for ourselves and making certain that we, can live a better life. All right. One of the other topics that we were talking about in the last couple of weeks is a procedure called fibroid embolization. Okay. And I mean, that's a difficult term to remember, but if you're a female and you're suffering from menstrual irregularities, okay, now that can encompass millions of you. I mean, just lots of you. All right. Whether you got excessive periods, irregular periods, uncontrollable cramping and pain, there's help for you. All right. There's real help for you. The system has always been geared toward, hormonal therapy, to try to re-regulate you, so to speak. All right. And then when, after a period of time, when you've, I guess, gone through, years of suffering, the things that they tend to offer a lot of people, especially in the African-American community, is hysterectomies, which is the number 2 surgery, the second highest surgery that they have in this country. All right. They're basically sterilizing young women because when they take your uterus out, you can't have any children. Okay. And there are a lot of women that are suffering because if they're having irregular cycles or menstrual irregularities, they're having issues personally because they're always in discomfort. They're always, bleeding, they're anemic, they're tired, it's hard for them. What kind of relationship can you maintain if you're not happy and if you don't feel good? So, some of them have a lot of psychiatric or psychological issues as a result of something that's easy to correct. All right. And not only is it easy to correct, okay, it's not as disfiguring as surgery. It's very small little, incision where, to fix this problem. You can still have children going forward and you can live a better quality of life. So, listen, if you're not sure what the name of the procedure is, listen, reach out to us on Clark TV Network. Okay. All right. If you want to ask more about vitamin D or you want to ask more about uterine fibroid, embolization, reach out to us on Car TV network and let us refer you to the proper places. Okay. One other thing, I can't stress this enough. Okay. Is that, listen, we're still dealing with communicable illnesses. All right. You're going to be in places that are, just high density, just a places where a lot of people are. All right. These people are still coughing and, still touching everything. Listen, you got to protect yourselves. All right. You know what I'm talking about. I talk about this all the time. COVID, influenza, basically any type of virus that's out there. All right. These viruses, you get contaminated by just being in close proximity to people. You got to protect yourself. All right. I know nobody wants to wear the mask, but listen, if you're going to be around a lot of people, wear the mask. All right. And the thing you just saw, these hands, listen, these hands can be your worst nightmare, your biggest enemy. How do you control that? You wash them. You wash them frequently. Okay. You go in places, you wash your hand when you come out. All right. You're around people, you're touching surfaces, you're touching doorknobs, wash your hands. Before you eat anything, wash your hands. All right. You're not available, you're not around soap and water. Listen, use the hand sanitizer. All right. Sanitizer doesn't work if you have a lot of debris on your hand or any kind of debris. So if you pick up, you run across some kind of bodily fluid or some kind of, or your hands just look like it's got something on it, you need soap and water. All right. Hand sanitizer ain't going to work there. All right. Okay. You need some soap and water to clean those hands off. All right. Outside of that, listen, I don't like harping on those things, but I think people need to hear it. The more you hear it, the more you will, incorporate that into your daily lives and, basically make you, a lot safer than we've been in the past. Okay. One of the other things, it looks like I got a guest on. Who do I have on? Who do I have on tonight? Hello? Nobody yet. I guess they're not answering yet. Okay. All right. Well, anyway, one of the things I wanted to talk about, and, my guests can chime in whenever they're ready, is smoking. Smoking, all right, is one of the biggest causes of medical issues in our community. Okay. I mean, there's not anything that I can think of that doesn't get worse, all right, or is not a direct result of cigarette smoking. I'm saying cigarette smoking right now, but I'm going to say basically any kind of smoking. Okay. There are studies out now for those of you that like the medicinal marijuanas that say, you know what, it's hurting your lungs. Okay. You don't know what's in the products. All right. And some of these foreign products are going to hurt they're hurting your lung tissue. Okay. I always believed that the edible versions for medicinal components, for the medicinal purposes, are much better, okay, than the tobacco form. All right. I think you get a pure product, all right, with a lot better, cleaner benefit than you do from the tobacco form. And there are lots of things online, cookbooks, to show you how to take the leaf, all right, and convert it to the oil, all right, that will help you make, all right, an edible form that would be a lot better. And I think the body is actually better able to process that for you, and with little to no harm, as opposed to, I think down the road we're going to see a whole generation of people suffering from just lung problems, breathing issues, cancers, and this menthol cigarettes, these vapor pens, all these things that people are doing. I get it. I mean, it's a fad. This is something that's new, and it's something that you weren't able to do for so many years, and now all of a sudden you're just free and able to do it. But sometimes you gotta wonder, why they allow something like that to go on. If the studies show that something can hurt you, why are they pushing so much of it out there? And that's, you gotta really, really take a look and say, they're making this stuff so easily accessible for you. All right. And you gotta wonder if it's hurting you or not. It's not, it might make you feel good, but it's not good for you. Okay. And that's something I really need people to look at that sort of thing and, just say, hey, you know what? It's time to stop. Alcohol consumption, same thing. Okay. I'm gonna go on and on about, things. Do you know during COVID that they considered alcohol essential? So all businesses and things were shut down, but the bars remained open. Like, wow, what kind of message is that? Say, oh, you know what? You can't get certain services. You don't have to go to work, but you can drink. You can drink as much alcohol as you want. And, you see, you go to the supermarkets or you pass by the liquor stores, that in your area, and you see people going in and out all day long. I'm like, wow. And it's like someone told me, they said, hey, they're using it to help them cope. Okay, using it to help them get by. And I never seen so many people, so many problems. Wow. I said, more people having difficulties getting along because all of a sudden you're in close proximity with one another. Hold on a second. I have a guest. Hello.
Yes, Doc, I apologize. It was another step and I didn't get the instructions, but this is Dr. Washun Sanakawa. I'm a social re-engineer. In other words, we're about rebuilding people and community because, what we are going through, others have gone through, and it seems like we might not ever come out of it, including the attack on our bodies by a host of different things. Like you said, the uterus, thyroid is a major situation. It's been so for a lot of years. This is all part of the genocide of a people. Institutionally.
I made mention of that. I didn't quite give it to the public that way. But when you start seeing a large group of young women, especially African American women in their 20s and 30s, that have had hysterectomies, now they can't have children, and it's a practice that continues, and the thing is that the reason why this procedure hasn't become standard of care is because the people that would benefit, would hurt the most, are the people that are actually doing the procedures. So if I can't take away my own ability to eat to make the population better. You follow what I'm saying? So if I say to you, you know what, I know that this procedure will work, but then all of a sudden I don't have a patient that comes in saying that she has issues with menstrual irregularity, so to speak, and then I can't take her to the OR and take her uterus out. So once I do this, basically she may be better and she don't need me no more, which means it's going to affect me economically as well as the system on a whole, because the physicians have to operate. Okay, the physicians have to use the operating facilities at the institutions. Okay, anesthesiologists got to come in and give you the knockout juice, right? All right. So there's a big economic machine that depends upon these procedures. Remember, this is the number 2 procedure operation that they perform in this country. So if they remove that and say, hey, instead of doing these procedures, we're going to move towards doing this procedure, which is going to be uterus saving, all right, and basically improve your overall quality of life, which, I mean, just on a common sense side, it seems like it's a better choice. But, you know, they're the ones that are blocking that. And it's been available, you know, this procedure, man, has been available for 10 years or more. Okay? This is not something that's new. And the side effects, minimal to none. You know, I mean, you're looking at something with a success rate of 98 to 99% with minimal to no complications. But yet it's not something that's practiced widely.
Ignorance is not bliss, Doc. You know, there's a saying that, you know, what you don't know can kill you. And it's not the things you know, it's the things that you know that just aren't so. So to follow anybody's instructions, and this is just a suggestion, I'm not a medical doctor. Let's be clear about this. You must get a first, second, and even third or fourth opinion when it comes down to operating on your body.
Oh yeah.
And make sure that those doctors aren't tied into the same institutional system. In other words, they're independent of each other. They're not part and privy of the same medical assurance or system of hospital, because then it just becomes laughable. So they believe in operation because that keeps them in yachts and fine cars and certain things. At the same token, it's destroying our ability to procreate and have a quality of life. So, you know, my mother in the 70s, what they did, they gave the women hysterectomies and then gave them Quaaludes and said, go home and take a nap. So my mother checked out on us as I'm second to the youngest, and my younger brother and I didn't get the best of my mother because of what her doctor did to her. So these things are still part of a movement towards keeping our quality of life low and our health, where you have to manage your own health. It used to be the doctors and the nurses manage your health. Nowadays, if you don't know no better, your sickness that can be cured will kill you. But they want to just keep you sick enough where one foot is above ground and one foot isn't headed towards the grave. So you can't focus on anything else when your health is in a lesser or worsening position.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that. You know, I saw something on the news tonight that was alarming. You know, my wife and I, we had a conversation about it. Is that Weight Watchers? You know, Weight Watchers for years has been an organization that stressed lifestyle management, you know, to help control and manage your weight. Okay? Tonight, for $99 a month, I couldn't believe I heard this, Weight Watchers is moving towards prescription to help people manage their weight. You know? And I'm like, why did this take place? Okay? You know, and I'm sitting there, they made mention back in 2015 when Oprah endorsed Weight Watchers, the shares went from $7 to $38. And today, upon the announcement of the prescription component of Weight Watchers now, the shares jumped up another 70%. You know, and we know that education and lifestyle management is always best. You know, I don't like to always use terms. I don't like using terms like always, but lifestyle management is always best. But now all of a sudden they want to move to a pharmaceutical component. All right. Now, a lot of these people have, I mean, they're overweight, you know, and one day we'll talk about what I can term, we talk about the metabolic syndrome, which, we won't go into that too much today, but they have other medical problems. All right. They're taking other medications a lot of times because, they're, because of their body habits, they're obese. So they may have other medical issues. So you want to take all the things that they have going on, and instead of saying, with education and lifestyle management, we're going to add another drug into this regimen to help you control your weight. There's something innately wrong what's going on in this world. Okay. And
well, you have to guard your person, yourself, the individual, and your life has value whether you reach your potential or you're consciously aware of what your purpose is. These pharmaceutical giants are the peddlers of death. The side effects of medicine on top of medicine, and even the one medicine, the list of side effects can be worse than are larger than the actual cure.
yeah,
So
you hear them on TV when they say, if you have these problems, I said, why would I want to you tell me it's going to do this, but you're also telling me that I can have these. Why would I want to take something like that? Why are people seeking this Jack and the Beanstalk theory, these magic beans, these magic pills, these magic treatments? It doesn't make sense, and they're not benefiting themselves, okay, because we don't know the long-term repercussions of taking these things. But I can say if you treat yourself right, the long-term repercussions, there really should be any if you're treating your body right, if you're taking care of your temple.
Well, Doc, we have handheld devices, right, that our ancestors are those who recently passed. I'm talking about prior to the 80s. If they came back and seen the information that we control within our own grip, our own hands, right? So the information's available to you. It's an overreach of information, so you can get chaotically confused. Right. But at the same token, if you narrow yourself down, you can get answers alternatively. Right. And people say, listen, what is truthful or what is actual fact or factual that works? Because there's a host of different things and opinions, right, that come across as though they're actual answers and may or may not be. So again, it's up to the individual to secure his or her internal and external perimeter. You have a right to secure your body, right, indefeasibly, and I forget what the other word is, but you have a creator-given right that no one can give to you or take away from you. If you don't exercise your right not to be ignorant, that's of no fault of anybody else. The devil, and I don't like to speak spiritually, but the devil says this. He says, I only called you. You came. So he has no rights over you or not. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So
it's amazing you say that, okay? Yeah, that's deep, and the first thing you do, when it doesn't go right, is you seek litigation. You seek litigation. You've made the choice. You've made, and either whether you want to call it informed or uninformed, you made the choice. It didn't work out for you. And so the first thing you do, and the system preys on you for that, they're like, hey man, if this happened to you, give us a call. We're going to get you some money, and first thing you look is, oh my God, I took this medication. It didn't work out for me, and I'm having some problems. I'm suing. Now, the pharmaceutical company told you in the beginning that these things can happen. These things can happen. So when they happen, you know, what do? We run and we say, oh, you know what? I'm a victim. I've been victimized by this medication. When initially you didn't have to take the medication. It was all by choice, you know? And I mean, I understand. I mean, sometimes it has its place, but, you know, sometimes we just need to think a little bit more about the things we're putting in our bodies.
Absolutely.
Like,
the other word was inalienable. Right?
Which is a declaration word.
Yes. Here's the key. If we don't do the prevention, right, we want liposuction. We don't want to fast and lose weight or exercise the weight off of you, stand back from the table. Here's the thing. I'm not against these procedures. Let's be clear about it. But if you continue the same habits that got you to where you're at and you think that the liposuction is an answer, you can't keep going under the knife to get your answer. You know, there's something about cutting a person in the same place where their lymph nodes, and correct me if I'm wrong, where it just won't hold up. It won't hold this. You can't keep opening the body. The beauty of the
you subject yourself to more complications.
Yes. Our ancient antiquities, we had healers. Moreover, Imhotep, the god of all medicine, right? We had healers that used the touch. Moreover, they could heal you. They did procedures, don't get me wrong, and their procedures are more precise than what is being done today, you know, for breaks and certain things. But we had people that could heal you with a touch. They didn't have to physically touch you. They could run their hand over you, and their energy could correct what's going on inside your body. But the other side to it is you have that same potential. You just have to use your mind over the physical. In other words, we succumb to our physical side and don't realize that there's a whole nother realm of energy that we're not tapped into. So therefore, we die in ignorance and die again because, you know, you might have to come back here and repeat the cycle if you don't move on to the next stage, you know. So what happens to the soul, in other words, we got to deal with the esoterical, not so much the spiritual. See, because spiritual sometimes can't be measured, right? We're talking about science now. We're not talking about superstition or the ability to claim something and don't put the work in. So the responsibility is on the one that's suffering, right? The indignity. It's your temple. It's up to you to preserve it so that it can get you what you deem is necessary for you out of this life. And if you can't do that, you have what we call no power. You have no sense of purpose. Purpose is everything. Whether you find out at a young age, a middle age, or an elderly age, to find your purpose is an epiphany. It's an aroma of greatness. It's an aphrodisiac. In other words, it gives you something greater to strive for than what's going on between your ears.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let me just switch up a little bit here, man. I want to go political a little bit. You know, because I always have a lot of fun with political stuff. You know, and first thing I want to talk about, is this bill. You know, or this, I don't know, ruling of this 3% increase in taxes on people over $400,000 that make over $400,000 a year. Now, when I look at the tax structure, okay, all right, if you're paying a percentage of your income, and this is not necessarily to defend anyone, but there's a lot that goes into this. If I'm at a slower tax bracket, I'm paying 28%. Well, let's just say across the board, it's 30%. Okay, if I'm making 100, I'm paying $30,000 into the system. If I'm making 400, I'm paying $120,000 into the system. Okay, so by design, okay, if all things are consistent across the board, then people of more means are already paying more into the system. Okay, but we know the issue is not the structure, so to speak, or the intention. The issue is unfair reporting, so to speak. All right. So as opposed, when it comes to looking and say, I need to get more money out of certain people, that's not right. Okay. Assuming and say, you know what? Let me take a look and say what you've been reporting. And it's easy to do. I mean, if you're living in community X, Y, and Z, I know you need a certain income to live there. So if you're underreporting, that should be a red flag. Okay. And that's, instead of saying, I'm just going to impose an increase across the board, that's not, I just don't think that's right. And they claim they want to do this. And this is what really really gets me, to preserve Medicare. Okay. Now that I just don't agree with that. And there are a lot of reasons that I don't agree with that. But I want to start by just saying how you feel about that proposed tax increase, first of all.
Well, first of all, a flat tax doesn't necessarily work. I don't know if most people know what a flat tax is, right? A graduated tax system is better suited, but you got to remember that paying taxes is voluntary. The birthright of America is you don't have to pay taxes. For 4 years, the news reporters asked Trump to show his W-2. Well, he never took any federal money. By law, he didn't have to show his W-2 because he didn't take public funds to run for office. So it was a waste of time, and they knew it. It was just a show to make it laughable. It's like he would go, next question. He didn't have to answer it, and he's not going to answer it, right? So the rich in society get richer because they understand the things that govern the system. In other words, the tax laws, right? They have accountants and lawyers and people that work to their advantage. So they are tax shelters, right? But at the same token, here's the real problem. The poor people that pay taxes into the system, and this is where the Congress and the Senate are at fault, right? You can't let them off the hook, right? Because all the things that we desire, they get as a package for their service to the community. And they write legislation that penalizes the people, right? So they're not representing us, they're representing the lobby interests, and they're representing their right to a seat that it should be publicly held. So there needs to be greater term limits, right? In other words, you shouldn't go to Washington so your child can inherit your seat. Okay, that's a crime against us as a people. But the key here,
it's gone over a couple people's heads, and explain that and what you mean by that.
What point?
Saying, people, is that you got some people that have been there so long that their grandchildren are ready for their seat by the time they become of age.
Well, Joe Biden is the one. He's the prime example. And I'm not against or for any politician, Democrat or Republican. Here's what I'm for, is that where the tax base comes from, that return should go to that group of people. And where the need is greater, per percentage-wise, they should get more. Even the lottery is a tax, right? So if the money comes out of this community and the winners always come from another community, that's a drain on that base. So they don't get the services that should be rendered. We have the ability. It's like we could choose to solve any problem with the amount of wealth that is garnered. But the key is somehow the wealth never returns to the people that contribute the most to it, and then they tell you, well, you need to be patriotic. Well, a true patriot, a person that really cares about the growth of society and not dismantling the so-called American dream, which has never been a dream for a certain segment of society. It's been a nightmare, right? So the people need to understand that you can't talk and do nothing, right? You can't have a revolution of a minute and then you put your head back down and go to work, right? You have to guard against these evils. These are inherent evils, right? And they're put in place. Gentrification or re-gentrification is already taking place. The inner cities have suffered, right? Now they want to come back into the inner cities because they realize living in the suburbs costs you too much, right? So now they're going to put us out in the suburbs, and we don't have the wherewithal. We make the least amount. So what's going to happen? You're going to create Cape Towns or what we call shanty towns outside of the city, right? The wealth is really in the cities, you know. So our people, it's just like the pharmaceuticals, right? They lobby and they push through the things that are favorable to these corporate structures, and we have no lobbying at all. We don't even understand the system of return. Your vote to you is important, but the electoral college really makes the determination. Well, see, if I'm talking foreign to you, that's not my problem. That's yours, because it's up to you as an individual to guard against your ignorance. Now the knowledge is out there. Your inalienable, indefeasible right. I thought people could exercise it on behalf of you because you forfeited. They can't even do that. It just sits idle until you decide to pick it up and run with it. And most people think that's not important to know. You need to know who's in charge of your local affairs, your county affairs, your state affairs, and the county is the most important because that's where the wealth comes in from the federal and the state. It comes into the county. So those that control these county seats, right, control your local outcome in life. Let's just look at it. Our children go to jail, right? We're shooting each other down in the street, right? They sell to us the mindset that we're thugs and we're just victims, right? The real thugs are the ones that are controlling the purse strings, right? So with the pen, they conquer you and they give you a pea shooter, right? Right, an AK-47 at the highest, right? While they carry air-cooled AR-15s and 50 millimeters. You try to come back from a 50 millimeter. As a doctor, I appreciate you, but there's not much you can do when a person is cut down by a 50 millimeter. Now they have these weapons of self-destruction, right? There are more guns in the hands of the people than the government, and that's a check and balance. Don't get me wrong. I appreciate it. But they're ready, they're thinking that we're coming after them, right? Because they know that they have a guilt association, right? But that's not even on our mind. We're just trying to get through the day. And the heinousness of the crimes that we inflict upon one another, how can you rob the poor and then call yourself a hero? How can you infiltrate or put drugs into your community and you don't own it? The corner that you stand on, you don't own the block. So all these things tie in politically. You see, so if you clear the herd, right, for the political agenda, then you are actually an enemy to the community. But we in return celebrate those that gain the wealth from abusing their community. So we become a self-inflicted abuser. We can't absolve ourselves of any fault, because we could have been free a long time ago. We have enough residual wealth. It's just we don't control that wealth, or we don't keep the wealth long enough for it to benefit us. And that's because we practice following after the people that have it.
We're playing follow leader.
Yeah, and a leader that's leading us has no concern about us.
Absolutely not.
So we become like the leaderless people that lead us into the ground, right? Their wish is that we would disappear, not to go somewhere else, but to go into the ground and never come back.
I mean, I think we had a conversation about that earlier. About we looked at the guy that they have the wealthiest man in the world. Okay, wealthiest man in the world right now, Mr. Renault. Okay, who owns Hennessy. Things like Gucci. No, not Gucci. What's that other? Louis Vuitton. Those things. All these designer things that we tend to desire. In the lower and middle income classes, these things that we go after. These bags, these shoes, these belts. The alcohol. He even pays, what's the rapper's name? Jay-Z. He pays him to endorse his product. So Jay-Z not writing the checks. This man is writing the checks to Jay-Z. She asked herself, how much money is this man making? Well, he's the wealthiest man in the world. Just blew by Elon Musk, who was pretty much, one of the top earners, was the top earner until this man, I guess, the income reporting came out. And like you said, we are the wealthiest people. We're wealthy. We control a lot of wealth, but our wealth is being distributed improperly. I mean, we have enough.
Well, let me correct you. We don't control the wealth. We garner the wealth, and they turn around and benefit from the wealth because we hand it right back to them through the material possessions that we want to make us feel good about ourselves. So a slave in and of him or herself, right, desires things that don't benefit them. Who would invest in something that's not going to bring you a greater return? A car, an automobile, a Bentley is good for the ego, but at the end of the day, when you write it off the lot, it depreciates in value initially.
Yeah.
And
see, the point I was making is instead of investing in that Bentley, instead of investing in that watch, or drinking alcohol, these monies could have been used to reconstruct their communities. Okay, reconstruct their communities. You can hire your own teachers. You can do this. You can rebuild your community. And provide just a much better quality of living. The thing is, I look at economics. Economics is a funny thing. As long as people are asking for it, the price is going to go up. What would happen?
That's supply and demand.
Yeah, it's simple supply and demand. If people are complaining about the cost of food, the consumer price, whatever, the consumer price index, you can use any kind of term. You're concerned about how high things have gotten. All right. You can look at it and just say, you know what? We're not going to spend no money. We're not buying it no more. Because everybody in that whole supply chain, all right, has increased their prices because you want it so bad. Okay. But if everybody decides that they don't want it anymore, then not only is the person that's selling it and the people that provide the materials to produce it they're gonna look and say, you know what, these things are not. We have a surplus of material now. So in order to get rid of this surplus, what's going to happen? The price has got to come down. Right. The price has got to come down.
So we can go back to the Mobile bus strike on the civil rights movement, right?
Oh, yeah,
I think it was
you know,
right, 180 days.
Montgomery,
Right.
Montgomery, Alabama.
Montgomery, Alabama. Excuse me, and Selma. So we have to re-examine, right, our successes, right, which may have been short term. Don't get me wrong; they didn't last long. In other words, they watch our movements and then they counter, right? So the key before is we had the ability to pull together and to build together. Now we want that onus of that responsibility to be on one or two, right? In the meanwhile, just give me 1 or 2 or 3 clicks at the most. I'm gonna give you an example. Facebook, I'm gonna use it as an example, right? So the algorithm, right? So in other words, you dictate the data. They determine based on what you search for, right? Your material pleasures, moreover, right? So in your ignorance, you think Facebook is a social media. Facebook is a marketing and advertising company at its fundamental root, right? So they're not really, they're selling you, your information to a corporate concern that wants to sell you a service or a product based on your interests. So television used to be a broad scope. Now they direct target market based on your interests. So if you're given over to mammon or material things or material pleasure, or if you're just greedy and you want money, oh, you become the greatest victim, because with money, in other words, there's nothing the matter with making money. The key is understanding how to put your money in a position where they can't take it back from you.
Exactly.
And most of us that make money don't even know how to keep the money, right? That's why you hear
making money is easy.
Huh?
Making it is easy. Keeping it is the problem.
Well, keeping it is the answer. Somebody taking it from you without a gun is a major problem, and you render it, you hand it back over based on your ignorance.
No problem. Just give it back to them. Absolutely.
Right. So a fool in his or her money is soon to part. These are time immemorial sayings. These don't change from any given time to the next time. So the responsibility is not on the one seeking to rape you of your fundamental rights to your own inheritance. It's up to you to guard yourself against the onslaught of a people that are prodigious. In other words, they're looking to see how they can get whatever you gain out of you, so you can never get up and provide the basic things that everybody needs. A good school, right? An education that is stellar on a collegiate level, right? Most of the people that are being educated in this country today by these higher universities, I'm talking about these close to Ivy League and above, right? These students are coming from afar. They're not even local. So the schooling system that we're engaged in, the public school system, leads you right to incarceration for the most part. Even the women are headed in that direction today. So here's the other thing. If I don't know how to deal with my math, right? So the biggest thing I hate is when young sisters and brothers tell me I'm not good at math. How can you not be good at math if you walk around every day and don't bump into things? You have to calculate every move, whether you're doing it consciously or you're doing it automatically. That can be discussed. Here's the key. You are based on math. There's no part of you that's not mathematically sound. So when you tell me you're poor at math, you're telling me is you're not willing to guard your wealth against the onslaught of people wanting to take it away from you. So the very people that come to Congress and to the Senate, right? So Trump didn't have it wrong. He used a bunch of buffoons to go in and do a work of men, right? See, you can't play with this thing. In other words, these enemies to our state sit in Congress and the Senate, right? Meanwhile, the benefits that are inured to them are the benefits that should be coming to the masses of the people. I need you to understand this. I'm talking to the larger audience now. If you sit around and complain and do nothing, you deserve the government you get.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
So that leads us to direct action. See, you can't cry wolf as a victim, right? At some point, you got to stop celebrating your victimization, and you got to own up. So what is the biggest factor in this whole scenario? The biggest factor in the scenario is that somebody is taking your wealth and applying it to themselves and leaving you in a state of a drought.
Yes, they
so you keep praying to somebody to come save you, and they never show up. Why? Because you got every faculty in your hand to carry out a process by which you can save yourself, but you choose not to utilize it because you don't want to be the responsible party. You're waiting for somebody else to take up your mantra, your work, moreover. See, the lies that's been told, they are so. It's not the things you know, it's the things that you know that are just not so. In other words, they don't add up to success. They don't add up to gaining what you need for yours. I'm talking about basic common needs. If your basic needs ain't met, let's say you go to school and you're hungry. How the hell can you concentrate on learning? How about your shoes got holes in them, or you don't have heat in your household? So school is the place where you get your heat. And then when you graduate from school, you go to jail so you can get heat. See something wrong with that. But if you buy in, right, they're going to offer you the things that lead you down to the path of destruction. So we got to ask the question, are our representatives representing our interests? Are they representing the interests of foreign concerns or corporate concerns when are outside of the interests of the community as a whole? So if you don't trust your neighbors.
I'm going to stop you right there because looks like we're running out of time. We can go on with this all day long.
I apologize.
Oh man, listen, I enjoy sitting here tonight just talking with you, man, and listening to what you have to say. I'm hoping that everybody that's listening, that's tuning into the show, got a chance to understand a lot of things that we were talking about, and listen to some of the things that you were sharing with us today. Going forward, we're gonna definitely spend some more time talking. I'll probably have you call in a couple more times. We can keep talking about a lot of the issues that really are plaguing the community. And then the biggest thing that we have, all right, and I'm just going to close. We're going to close with this tonight. Is that identifying the problem is simple. We can identify the problem, all right, in our communities. We can identify what's going on. For those of us that are enlightened enough to see it, okay, all right. Then next thing we have to do is share it. But the thing is that the part that people are having problems with, all right, and this is why we're seeing a lot of the things that we're seeing today, is that the people have no place to go and get answers to the problems. All right, and that's the thought I want to leave you with, because when we come back here on this show, let's talk about some of the solutions to our problems. All right, like I say, it's not about what we're doing, and sometimes it's what we're not doing. All right, and then we can maybe help some people get where they got to get. In closing, we have to build it. It's that simple. That's it. So with that, listen, I want to thank everyone for tuning in and sharing this time with us tonight. God bless everyone. Remember, be safe, take care of yourselves, and I will see everyone on the next show. This is Chopping It Up with the Doc. Good night. Thank you, Doc. All right, you got it, man. Good night.